Good day, everybody. This is Kod,
And I'm Quinn the Princess.
and today for our 100th video, we decided to do something a little different. We are going to be reading this post in r/hobby drama, which is a sort of small community uh, detailing for posts detailing things that happened that were completely insane that almost nobody knew about because of how isolated they were. So the title of this post is Harry Potter Fandom, Married to Severus Snape on the Astral Plane, the Story and the Religion of the Snapewives.
But Cod, what is a Snapewife?
Well, that will be explained in the post, but Snapewives were women usually fandom drama is focused on younger women, usually in the age range of teenagers to young 20-year-olds.
Makes sense.
Right. But these women were much older, middle age, usually either sort of the age where most women are married or they're just not going to get married at that point in their life.
Sort of like if E.L. James was like obsessed with Harry Potter and instead of like with Twilight.
Right. Except it's even crazier because it wasn't just fan fiction, though that was one aspect of it. It was a religion that people actually took seriously. So we're going to get right into it. Now, the TLDR is there was an actual religion centering on Severus Snape, who was portrayed as an eternal and divine being similar to the Christian God, had theological arguments, early schisms, and its own vows and prayers, which were taken completely seriously by its followers, the Snapeists. Worst name ever.
Snape rapists.
Yeah. Alright, this is the author. I keep saying I'm going to finish my YA literature drama post next, and then I keep getting distracted by other, even more insane fandom nonsense. Don't blame me, blame the women who think they're married to Severus Snape the God in an alternate universe. When I first posted my first write-up about Andrew Blake, a Harry Potter/LOTR fan who started a cult based off his delusions of being able to mind meld with fictional characters, I remember people commenting that there was no way anyone could top this.
Now, we don't have time to unpack all of that, but that sounds hilarious.
She wrote a different post about that. I got a similar reaction when I did my second write-up, this time about a small group of women competing for the title of Claude Frollo's favorite concubine. But what if I told you that you can have the best of both worlds? The legions of fans obsessing over a guy who is, by most people's definitions, not that great, combined with an aggressive cult-like mentality, and the formation of an actual religion. Swap Claude Frollo with Severus Snape, and that's basically what you get.
Interesting. I mean, terrifying, but interesting.
Title card, The Snape Fandom. Before I delve into the Snapeism religion and its many followers, I should first talk about Severus Snape the character. If you ever set foot in the Harry Potter fandom, you already know that Snape is notoriously controversial. The prevailing opinion nowadays seems to be he wasn't really evil, but he was still kind of an asshole. But things weren't that simple back in the early 2000s. The last Harry Potter book had just come out. Lots of beloved characters, including Snape himself, had just met their ends, and the fandom was going absolutely wild, writing fix-it fanfiction and happy alternate universes a mile a minute. Some fans loved how Rowling ended the series, some hated everything about everything. Ships, characters, plot threads, you name it, and you could probably track down someone who hated it. Even then, though, Snape had a precious, really special place in the fandom, except one character you really don't want to bring up around people you aren't friends with.
A special face.
A special face. Look with your special eye.
look with your special eye. My brand!
Really don't want to bring people you aren't friends with, lest the whole conversation devolve into meaningless bickering about whether or not he's a good person. That being said, despite all the controversy, some people really latched on to Severus Snape, probably because they thought he was misunderstood. Characters with ambiguous allegiances, tragic backstories, unrequited romances, and dark aesthetics are very, very beloved in fandom, regardless of whether or not they're traditionally desirable. I did a whole post about how Marvel fans are ridiculously dedicated to Bucky Barnes, and at least part of that is because of the whole Winter Soldier thing.
Winter Sojo?
Winter Soldier thing. He was brainwashed by an evil organization. He went through some traumatizing experience. He wore a scary mask and had a metal arm, and a lot of fans choose to see him as secretly in love with Steve Rogers.
Or not so secretly.
Who is, of course, pining after Peggy. The unrequited Stucky romance is definitely more fandom than canon, but at a certain point it doesn't matter anymore. And yes, a lot of it is also because the actor who plays Bucky is attractive, but he's really not objectively better looking than any other guy in the MCU. It's Bucky's characterization arc that makes people love him, and the obsessions with Severus Snape and Claude Frollo are just extensions of the same mentality that makes people go wild for Bucky Barnes instead of any other Avenger.
You could say they go buck wild.
There's this idea that he is tragically broken, and the person he loves doesn't love him back, so I can step in and shower him with the affection he desperately needs, which will fix him and make him adore me. It should come as no surprise, then, that the early Harry Potter fandom latched onto Snape the way modern MCU fangirls latch onto Bucky. Snape also fixed the whole checklist. He may or may not have been a good guy, he was bullied as a child, his crush fell in love with and married his bully before dying very young, and he looks and dresses like the undead.
How is that a negative?
I know. Sure, he's repeatedly described as greasy and gross, but the Harry Potter books were just that, books. It's not hard to say, well, Harry thinks of him as disgusting, but Harry is a straight male child, and it's possible that an adult would see him differently. And all that aside, some people liked his general unwashedness and the fact that his hair was constantly described as needing a good shampooing.
Yeah.
To each their own, I guess. Or, more accurately, YKINMK. I don't know what that means.
Your kink is not my kink. Oh, yeah, your kink is not my kink. I remember that as, like, shorthand live journal speak.
Oh. Anyway, Snape fan groups sprung up with relative ease, and fanfiction and art of him quickly started to proliferate. Many of these fan groups were what you'd expect. Lots of petty arguments over stolen OCs and traced carp. Carp?
Traced carp. Hey, they're hard to draw, right? All those scales.
Lots of petty arguments over stolen OCs and traced art and copying ideas, but they didn't get any worse than any other fandom group to ever exist. If you went into a Hermione forum or a Drarry forum, you'd see the same type of toxicity. It wasn't good, but it wasn't distinctly horrible either. But there are always people who take fandom too far, and it was bound to happen with Snape fangirls. The Harry Potter fandom is absolutely massive, and pure statistics meant that at least some of its fans were the type to become obsessively dedicated to a particular person or concept. Crazy stands just sort of happen once you reach a certain amount of fans. It happened to Bucky, it happened to Frollo, and naturally it happened to Snape in the form of the Snapewives. Do you want to read this section?
Sure, you getting tired? Okay. Snape as a religion, or Snapeism. Well, calling them Snapewives is probably not incredibly accurate, because they refer to themselves as Snapeists, that is to say, members of the Church of Snapeism. If you're wondering if this is just a joke thing, like how Star Wars shippers in the 80s said that they were members of the Church of Ford or Cathedral of Luke, you are sadly incorrect. The religion of Snapeism had vows, sacraments, prayers, worshippers, and theology, and it apparently had enough of an impact to warrant peer-reviewed scholarly articles being written about its inception. You think I'm kidding? Search Snapeism in MDPI's Religions Journal. People took it completely seriously. You know the incredibly overzealous Christians that share chick tracts with one another and think Halloween is satanic? Replace chick tracts with fanfiction and you basically have Snapeists. This sounds like something that Proud Housewife would write in Hogwarts School of Prayer and Miracles as a joke. But it is horrifically true. To an extent, Snapeism actually mirrored elements of Christianity. There is a Christian belief that the Bible is somewhat flawed, its authors were inspired by God, but God did not literally write it, and so it is marred by human flaws, which is why there are passages that just talk about irrelevant things that modern Christians don't believe. The Snapewives had the same philosophy about Harry Potter books. They were written by J.K. Rowling, who was inspired by the spirit of Severus Snape, just as the authors of the Bible were inspired by the Christian God. This gave the Snapewives a justification to disregard the parts of canon that they did not like or agree with, because, after all, J.K. Rowling is not Snape. She was merely channeling his spirit. She made up the guy, but sure, channeling his spirit, why not? You would think if she was channeling his spirit, he would be, like, the main character of the story, but...
Yeah.
Why not? Maybe Harry Potter's spirit just channeled a little louder. There are other aspects of Snapeism that kind of fall in line with parts of Abrahamic religions. There were certain Snapeists that had a special connection to Snape, who were specifically chosen by him to lead the others. Snape was as omniscient and immortal as the Christian God, and just as real. Snape is called Master, like how God is called Lord. And finally, and most importantly, Snape is the one true God. You cannot be Christian and Snapeist any more than you can be Catholic and Protestant at the same time. I'm just channeling Harry from Hogwarts School of Paramiracles. Like, the weirder this gets, the more my fanfiction reading voice is coming out. You cannot be both!
Cannot be Gryffindor hat and Slytherin hat.
Snape is all and Snape is everything and Snape can control your destiny. Do you want me to keep going? Or?
I'll read this part since you're going to read the dialogue. Theological arguments. With Snapeism so closely mirroring elements of more traditional religion, it's to be expected that the Snapeists had theological arguments amongst themselves. One of the main arguments was over whether Snapewives should be allowed to have earthly significant others, i.e. real-life boyfriends and husbands. Significant others. See, a core aspect of Snapeism is that Snapeists are married to Severus Snape, all acting as his sister wives. This is, like other aspects of their belief system, taken extremely seriously. It is ceremonial, it is very religious, and it is very much a very real marriage in the eyes of the wives, who would write their own Snapeist vows for their Snape weddings.
Snape weddings. I promise to always be faithful in body and mind, and never love another man. I promise to love and cherish you all of my life. I promise to respect and honor you all of my life. I promise to dedicate all of my life to you. I promise to stand by you in good times and bad times. I promise to protect and guard you, and prevent you from any harm. Prevent you from any harm? Sure, why not? These are Snapewives, after all. I promise to provide anything you need for you. I promise to take the best care of you. I promise to use your name with the respect it deserves. None. I promise to always wear the ring with your name in it as a symbol of my love. I promise to obey you, no matter what. Obey him? Like, he's not a person. What is he telling them to do? Like, and for your assignment, I want you to read page 451. Yes, sir, I promise to obey you, no matter what. I mean, really, it affects your grade. I really don't give a damn whether or not you do the assignment. It doesn't really affect me one way or another. I will prevent you from any harm, Mr. Snape. Okay, then. That's wonderful. I promise to respect your wishes and to not be selfish. I promise to look after you in sickness and in health. Again, not a real person. What kind of sickness is Severus Snape, the character, going to come down with? Book rot? Like, maybe his pages get a little dog-eared? In what capacity are they actually taking care of this character in a physical sense? Very strange. I solemnly promise all of this to you, Severus Snape, my only love. I don't know how anyone could say that with a straight face. May these words create a strong, loving bond, which can only be broken by death. So it's an unbreakable vow? If I break the promises made, or treat you not in the manner I should be, I'll make sure I die. Okay, calm down. This is a book wedding you're doing. May all the good forces and spirits bless our love eternally. So it will be done. Wait, I thought Snape was the end-all be-all. What are these good forces and spirits?
I don't know. The above is just one example of a vow written by Lady Darkness. If you were wondering if she was being serious, don't worry, she posted several pictures of her Snape's shrine in responses to queries about whether she actually worshipped Snape or not. Sadly, these photos have been deleted, but there are threads referencing them on archive.org archives of fan forums.
I really wish we could include those photos.
Anyway, you can clearly see how dead serious the Snapewives were about their faith and their fictional husband. They absolutely considered their marriages legitimate, and they wanted them to be treated like any other marriage to exist. This begged the question, then, should Snapewives have to divorce their real-life husbands to marry Snape? The majority of the Snapewives were middle-aged women who had been married to real men for years, and yet, this is a wedding, after all. Weddings can't happen if one party is already married to someone else. Snape himself gets a pass because all of his wives are on the astral plane, whatever that means, but the women's husbands are physically real. People did all sorts of mental gymnastics to justify being married to their husbands and Snape at the same time. One woman claimed that Snape regularly possessed her real-life husband, especially during sex. Apparently, Snape's spirit would just take over his body, so whenever he was being particularly affectionate, it wasn't him, it was just Snape showing how much he loved his wife. Wow, your marriage is really bad, huh?
Was this a consensual possession? I think not.
Why would you want Snape in your body? Lily certainly
I don't even want me in my body.
Lily certainly didn't.
Lily, you missed your chance! You could have been the first Snape wife!
Others claimed that if Snape could have multiple wives, they too could have multiple husbands. Still others broke up with their boyfriends and fiancés in exchange for Snape's love. The majority just kind of hand-waved it.
The majority of husbands?
The majority of Snape wives.
Oh, okay. 'Cause, well, I mean, maybe if the relationships were bad enough, the husbands are like, okay, sure, whatever. You're leaving me for a fictional character, that's fine. I'm gonna take the kids and go live with my parents, I guess. Try to find someone who's not emotionally married to a fictional character.
Other people simply could not justify being married to two people at once, even if one of those marriages were on the astral plane, and decided to stay essentially celibate, only having sex with Snape's spirit. Don't ask me how that's supposed to work. This divide did cause arguments that almost eerily mimicked early Christian schisms, and they were one of the reasons Snapeism eventually died.
Thank God.
Erotica and fanfiction. Some of the Snapewives wrote about having sex with Snape's spirit in detail, and then treated their written erotica as religious material because Snape inspired them to write it.
What if like the Bible was like that? Like, what if like
it was just like the disciples writing about fucking God.
Yeah, like what if the disciples like got really horny and like people would be like, Matthew, what are you writing? It's for the Bible. This is fanfic of you and Jesus.
Yes.
It's for the Bible.
Fiction.
Yeah, fan fiction, sure. Who's the one that was like, the disciple Jesus loved best?
I believe it was John.
John. Like, John, what do you think you're doing? Nothing. John, right? It's like, and then John and Jesus kissed, and then they got married, and then oh no, it's totally for the Bible. We're gonna put this part in the Bible,
and the
guys.
other disciples are like, that's not what happened.
Shh, you weren't there.
Yes, we were.
Jesus and I got married on the astral plane. And then the Catholic Church, the church read his readings, and they're like, my God. This is the cringiest shit I've ever seen. That's it. Gay marriage is outlawed forever. Oh, goodness.
Otherwise said that Snape likes his privacy, and publishing porn of him is disrespectful and fundamentally against the theology of Snapeism.
Yeah, John.
Nearly every wife wrote extensive amount of fan fiction, but just how explicit the fan fiction could get was constantly up for debate.
There was a debate about the rating of...
This is sort of like... I mean, I get it, because, like, there was no central leader in this religion, so there was, like, nobody to really tell them, any ground rules. It was
Yeah.
the only thing was just like Snape is God, and then people just made up their own rules.
I'm surprised, like, nobody stepped in and, like, claimed to be supreme leader, or, like, a group of them, and then just, like, bullied people into submission,
You would think, right?
right? Because, like, that's usually how the internet goes.
Mm-hmm. The role of sexism in astral projection. Some of the wives reported being visited by Snape on a daily basis, i.e. being contacted in their dreams by the spirit. However, not every Snape wife had this gift. Some of them struggled to make Snape appear in their minds and homes. The specifics of why were a constant source of drama.
Well, I think the main reason, Kod, would be the fact that he doesn't exist.
And that the other people were lying.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons some were listed as being unable to contact Snape was because their hearts weren't pure enough for him. All of the Snapewives who were not regularly visited in their dreams had some sort of character flaw that made him not want to come. Perhaps they simply weren't attractive enough, and they should start wearing sexier pajamas and lose a few pounds. Perhaps they had ugly hobbies, like swearing too much or biting their nails. Maybe it was just their personality. They were a gossip, they were too nosy, or they were too crass. Or maybe it was just because you were too independent for a woman. That same obey your husband doctrine that certain fundamentalist sects push on young women was very visible in Snapeism, except instead of just obeying husbands in general, it was obeying Snape. If you weren't being visited by Snape, you didn't obey him enough. To be a good Snape wife, you had to let him do whatever he wanted to you and listen to his every command. After all, he is a man, and you are a lowly, lowly woman, and thus he is your master.
What do these people think Snape is trying to, like, command them to do? Like, there's not a doctrine. There's not, like, a written set of... Like, there's no Snape Bible.
Yeah, it was just erotic fanfic. Don't ask me how you were supposed to obey Snape or let Snape have sex with you whenever he wanted. I have no idea how that's supposed to work.
You know, I mean, objectively, Snape had a pretty terrible life in the books, but, like, you would think this would be some kind of consolation prize, like, if he knew that, like, losing the love of his life was gonna, like, lead him to have, like, a cult following of women, like, a harem, basically, of women that would just, like, throw themselves at you wherever you went. Like, I think that would be, like, a fun little consolation prize, you know? Like, okay, sure, you might not get the woman you want, but here's a whole bunch of women that you didn't ask for, but they sure are horny for you.
Same thing with Claude Frollo, I guess.
Yeah.
Does J.K. Rowling really know Snape? You may be thinking that if anyone knows Snape, it's the woman who created him, but you'd be wrong. The Snapeist did not see Snape as a fictional character, but as an omniscient being who possessed J.K. Rowling so that she could write Harry Potter.
Again, I don't understand if Snape is...
Except something happened and J.K. Rowling screwed up. It was generally agreed upon in the Snapewife community that the Harry Potter books were all wrong. They didn't portray Snape accurately, and they in fact were sacrilegious. Then why, if he's an omniscient being and he possessed her, how was she able to go against his will?
Yeah, it's like, why, if he's possessing her to write these stories, why is he, like, a secondary character
that doesn't get what he wants?
Yeah. Is it like, this is his life story, and he wanted to portray it accurately, and then...
No, because he's an omniscient and moral being. He was never, I don't think, a human in their religion.
Okay, so he's like, JK, listen, babe, I've got a great idea for a novel story myself, right? You ready for this? It's about me as a hero that saves the wizarding world. Oh, in this story, I'm a wizard, by the way. And I have this scar and everything, and I defeat the evil Lord Voldemort and become the hero of the school, and everybody thinks I'm cool, and I have this really hot girlfriend and everything, and basically everyone loves me. And she's like, that doesn't really sound like an interesting story. That's totally how she talks. She's like, what if it was about a small boy instead of, like, a grown 30-some man, or 40-some? I feel like that would make compelling children's literature. No, it's not children. It's not really fair. What if he was a small boy, and and he had a group of friends, and they went to a wizarding school, and he defeated the Dark Lord. No, that's not. I'm the main character. No. And what if you were like, I don't know, the potions teacher? The potions teacher, yes, yeah,
and you fell in love with this girl when you were going to the same school.
Right, yes. She's really hot.
Right, she's really pretty, but then she rejects you and gets together with the guy who bullied you.
What?
And the small boy is her son.
What?
With your bully.
I hate that. Yeah, you hate him a lot too. In this story, you're an asshole. What? No, I'm the hero. Everyone loves me. It's a book. They're called Severus Snape. No, that's not really a good hero name. What are you talking about? I'm the hero. It's my name. Of course it's a good name. No, I'm thinking that it should be something catchy, like, I don't know, 2 syllables, 2 and 2, but Harry Potter. How about that? That's the dumbest name I've ever heard. No, I think it would make a really good brand, and then I could write a series of books, and there could be movies, one more movie than there is book, because we don't know how to consolidate, and a theme park. A theme park, yes.
Play.
Yes, and then I'll write even more books after the series is over, and then I won't be able to handle my
dwindling fame?
My dwindling fame, me stepping down from the spotlight, so I'll get social media, and I'll let everyone know what a terrible person I am, and I'll keep putting my own foot in my mouth, but I can't stop because it's getting me so much attention, even if it's bad attention. And then soon the people that worshipped me as their favorite writer when they were children, they'll grow to hate me, and they'll write whole video essays about what a shitty person I am.
That's your punishment for not writing the proper Severus Snape books.
I don't know. I feel like this would be a really good career choice for me.
Should have just written the Severus Snape books.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Snape is like going through her Twitter, like, none of this would have happened if I were the hero.
Maybe Snapeism was right all along.
Oh God, are we confirming the Snapewives view in this?
Oh no, I hope not. According to Snape's theology, the way that Snape is portrayed in Harry Potter is all wrong. Snape the character is just a shadow of Snape the deity, who is omniscient, eternal, and impossible to kill. Snapists were in general unaccepting of his fictional death.
I love you, Severus. I know you can stop death. You'll be in my heart forever. I'm yours. You deserve all the best. J.K. doesn't understand you, but there are many people who loves you, who loves you, plural. Yep. Well, I mean, these are Snapewives, so I really shouldn't expect much. But there are many people who loves you and support you. Honor to our potion master, a great teacher and an admirable person, loyal and brave. I believe he is still alive. Albus Severus Potter, you are an admirable person and the loyal and bravest man I've ever met. Dad, you got real southern there for a second.
Aside from denying Snape was dead, the Snapists also continuously insulted Rowling. Wow, they were really ahead of the curve.
They really were.
And eventually settled on the idea that she simply wasn't good enough to deserve Snape, who had abandoned her and shacked up with the Snapists instead. It's not like Rowling ever mattered, though. Snape is a divine being, not a fictional character, and he can do what he wants.
I believe that Severus Snape exists independently of JKR,
claimed one Snapeist.
He is a living, feeling spirit. I believe anything is possible and that Severus does not visit those he chooses to.
No, he does.
Oh, I'm sorry. That really destroyed my whole argument. And that Severus does visit those he chooses to.
This predictably caused problems when they engaged with other Harry Potter fans, who usually reacted to the claim that Snape is a real god who can stop death by asking the Snapewives to get mental help and or therapy. And finally, the drama that tore apart the religion. Is Snape really perfect? After a good few years of Snapeism, one of the Snapewives apparently got fed up with her astral plane husband and posted a list of his perceived faults on her live journal. This, predictably, caused just as much ire as a Christian criticizing God would. Lady Darkness, the same person who wrote the marriage vows above, responded to the post by declaring her love and dedication to Snape once more.
I am so sorry these fans even dare to speak your name. Obviously, this one is not loyal or even trying to understand what makes you, you. That's what makes you beautiful, Snape. I feel ashamed some speak like this about you, as I feel you deserve better. Please note that there are fans that do accept you as you are, and not all find more negative sides to you than positive ones. I felt tempted to react, but as I don't want to start another war. Oh my god, it's a war now. We've gone from, starting a religion straight on to crusades.
Yep.
And as you would probably tell me to put my energy in things that do matter, like having sex with Snape, I decided to place my reaction to this insanity here. Not like the insanity that is your whole religion, just the very specific insanity of people daring to criticize Snape.
Right.
I feel disgusted by this, as you probably would too. Severus, all I can say is that to me, all of this rubbish is just what it looked like. Rubbish and lies. Chicanerous and deplorable. Churlish and insubordinate. To me, you are perfect the way you are. The flaws mentioned are not flaws as such, but merely fantasy made up by the writer. And for the other part, just characteristics. The ones some claim to like, but in fact don't have a clue as to understanding why you are as you are. I do, as you know. I share many of your flaws, which kept us alive and with our noses up all of these harsh years. Be well, Severus, and know I will always be right beside you, loving and loyal, no matter what happens.
Many other Snapists followed suit, and this resulted in a loud and tearful fan war, which eventually resulted in the Snape critic packing up and leaving her astral plane husband, apologizing for daring to criticize him, and claiming she'd realized she was no longer deserving of his eternal love. Though many Snapists continued to worship and adore Severus Snape, this fallout between two of the most well-known Snapewives in the community resulted in a lot of infighting that pitted people against one another, which made them reluctant to continue interacting. You want to read this one?
Sure. The end of an era. After the fan war, community participation slowly dwindled. Snapeism was still going strong, though, just not as strong as it used to be. The real nail in the coffin didn't come until later, when something terrible happened. One of the wives fell in love with someone else! If you're wondering if one of the Snapewives realized that this was all insane and found herself an actual physical significant other, well, I respect your optimism. Unfortunately, that's incorrect. By fell in love with someone else, I mean stopped worshipping Snape so that she could worship Jethro Gibbs from NCIS instead. After all, this is a religion we're talking about. You can't be a Catholic and Protestant at the same time, and you can't worship Snape and Gibbs at the same time. With all the big-name fans gone or fighting with each other, Snapeism kind of fell apart. To Snapists, it was kind of like the Pope suddenly converting to another faith. The Jethro Gibbs incident was the nail in the coffin for the religion, and with all the important leaders gone, the others just kind of stopped caring. There may have been one or two wayward Snapists out there in the labyrinth of LiveJournal, but they certainly don't have half as much of an impact now as they did back then. The Church of Snapeism is, for all intents and purposes, gone. Thank goodness. Bad photoshops of Snape with his astral plane lovers are still scattered across the internet, laying amidst prayers and fanfiction and strange combinations of them both. But the church itself has faded into obscurity like some pagan religion of old. The death of Snapeism has been attributed to numerous things. Some Snapeists blame J.K. Rowling for handling Snape's spirit so poorly and not writing the truth. Still, others say it was all Snape's plan. He is omniscient, after all. Snape created the world, and he can end it. But most Snapewives just vanish quietly into the background without saying anything, deleting LiveJournal pages and frenzied fanfic as they left, leaving only the archive.org pages in their wake. Maybe some realized that the whole thing was insane and culty, and in the absence of big-name fans to guide them. Maybe people started seeing the consequence of using one's real name and photos on an online group dedicated to sharing porn of a Harry Potter character. Or maybe, like the woman who had criticized Snape, they were experiencing astral plane marital problems and decided to get an astral plane divorce. Who knows? Only one thing is for certain. Snapeism is dead, and Harry Potter fans everywhere are breathing sighs of relief. Wow. So, that was a wild ride.
Yeah, it was insane.
Goodness. Like, I had never heard of this until today, and now I'm kind of terrified. But, like, only terrified in the way, like, I'm terrified of megalodons, where, like, objectively I think they're scary, but, like, I know they don't exist anymore, so it's not really anything to be afraid of. But you never know. Like, and also, in the same way that I fear megalodons, it's like you go out into the water and you're like, maybe, just maybe, there's one out there. It's unlikely, but it's possible. So it's like, it's very likely that there is some megalodon Snapeist out there lurking, just waiting to rear their head at the first whiff of Snape bait.
Snape jump.
Snape jump. Oh my gosh. Do you want to read some of the comments, or?
Most of them were just saying, like, gee, I forgot about this. This is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But I do want to say, the top comment is, I remember an old title on Fandom Wing that goes like, I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking astral plane.
That should have been the title of the article. One thing it does remind me, I was reading this one Tumblr post where it talked about how there's like this weird cult, like this like cult of Christianity, but they like consider themselves married to Jesus and they like fantasize having sex with Jesus.
There are other characters that you could probably...
What, like in the Bible?
No, I mean just like in general.
Oh, yeah.
There are other men you could fantasize about.
Like Severus Snape.
Like Severus Snape, exactly.
Oh my god. Well, I think that's about all we can say about all this.
Wait, I found a breakup letter from one of the Snapeists.
Oh my god.
To their astral husband. Dearest Severus, this might be my last letter to you. Not because I stopped loving you. I can't do that. Ever. Not because I am too weak. Or because I found someone. You are still my light. There will never be anyone else but you. And right now I am stronger than ever, dealing with so much shit my head explodes. This might be the last one, because I have to let you go. For you, and for me. Try to stop me if you do care. I dare you, Severus Snape. Stop me from letting go. Tell me you notice me. Loving you. I will never stop. I just have to move on. I'm sure you'll see what I mean, that is. If you ever notice what I go through lately.
Notice me, Snape Eye!
I need my strength to fight for my kids. You have kids!
What does your husband think about this? Or if you have one?
No more asking, waiting, and pleading. No more rituals. At all. If you want me, stop. What are rituals? Do your kids like ever walk in on you, like try to contact?
Mommy, do you want to play a game with me? Not now, sweetie. Mommy's praying to Lord Snape. Oh my gosh, is that the end of the letter?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's about all we can say about all this. We're coming up on like over 40 minutes. So, are there any final words you would like to say in regards to the Snapists? Maybe like a special shout out to the Snapewives of the world.
Snapewives. I think you're just probably you just got lonely. You're probably trapped in marriages that you didn't really want to be in anymore, and you just thought this sort of greasy, weird guy was just your dream man for some reason, and you just put all your, upset feelings about not being able to connect with your husband or anything into Snape, but you also started a religion out of it. That's really weird, and this whole thing was really weird, and I hope this doesn't happen again in another fandom.
I would also like to say a special thank you to I Was Once a Fangirl on Hobby Drama for writing the article. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and say goodbye, and I will join you all next time with another video. Say goodbye, Kod.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.